Okay. Perfect. Alright, welcome back everybody. This is a new game. We just finished last door, so now I'm going into the next game. It's called Home. And it's also a graphic adventure, and it's also a horror game. So let's get into it, shall we? I don't want to do it in a single setting. Turn up the sound, turn off the lights. Can't turn off the lights, but okay. All I remembered at that point was finding myself alone. Oh, my head. Where was I? It was so dark. There was something by my feet, a flashlight. Okay. That house, where was I? There was a body lying on the floor. Who was it? I don't know. Oh, that scared me. The desk had a computer and some papers on it, and a single drawer. I didn't want to snoop, but did I open the drawer? Well, sure. Receipts, pens, and a blurry photo. Looked like a store of some kind. Why did this look so familiar? I don't know. Blood on the wall. It smelled fresh and sickening. I realized there was blood on my shoes and pants. Oh man, I had to get out of there. Okay. I noticed that I limped as I moved down the stairs. How did I hurt my leg? I wondered. All I could really recall was coming home, seeing Rachel. I was upset. She looked afraid. I shook my head and tried to clear it. I knew I should head downstairs, try to find a way out. Okay. The shelf was full of books on local history and hunting. Seemed like the owner of the house really knew the area. Okay. An old dining table covered in dirty dishes for 2 people. There were dozens of beer cans and other liquor bottles among the dishes. Smell was turning my stomach. Okay. A black and white photo looked like the man upstairs and his wife, I guessed. There was no reason for me to keep this. Did I take it? Sure. I slipped the photo into my pocket. Maybe this would help me find some answers. Okay. A thin gray mouse was stuck in a trap. It looked frantic but exhausted. Do I free it? Yep. Okay. A collection of rusty tools. These looked like they'd seen a lot of use and were caked in damp, smelling dirt. Why weren't they in a shed? I don't know. A photo similar to the old one I picked up. It's been moved a lot. There seemed to be a switch behind it. Do I push it? It's depressed smoothly into the wall. I heard a faraway click somewhere. Okay. I looked like hell. My clothes were dirty and torn, and there was mud caked all over my shoes. Okay. The bathroom was spotless. Everything had been wiped to a sheen. I wondered if it was the man's wife who did the cleaning, or him. There was a photo development tray lying on the floor. Some leftover negatives were sticking out, but they were pretty blurry. I thought I saw what looked like treetops. Okay. The front door was blocked by a pile of furniture. I knew I had to find another way out. Okay. The door was taped up and seemed to be stuck. By the smell, I guessed it led to the kitchen. Okay. I gave the door a hard shove, and to my surprise, it cracked open. There were sheets of paper all over the kitchen table. It looked like a series of names were written down, but they were too smudged to read. I could only make out a few of the notes. Key card, locker, last one, I promise. It didn't make much sense at the time. Okay. Oh, okay. The switch in the wall appeared to have unlocked the door. The box looked heavy, but there were marks on the floor. It had obviously been moved before. Maybe I found a way out? I must have moved it, right? I heaved the box forward, and it finally gave. There was a ladder going underground, where the box was. A dank smell rose from the passage. Did I climb down the ladder? I looked again at the photo I found in the house. The couple looked distant, like they didn't want to be in the same picture. I wondered where the wife was. My leg was in terrible shape, but I had to get out. Okay. Places all over were marked on the old map of town. The industrial area near the river, various houses, and even the water tower near the old rail station. Okay. Newspaper clippings from a local paper. They were all about murders in town over the last few years. Wait. There were photos of our house. What the hell was that about? Maybe I should have looked around more, tried to find some kind of information. A work table covered in papers, dirt, and a handgun? I hated guns. I didn't take it, did I? I tucked the small handgun into my pocket. Its weight was somehow reassuring. Okay. Why did I take the gun? I don't know. It was so dark down there, and the air smelled stale and putrid. I couldn't believe what I saw. What was this place? The desk looked old and was caked with grime. On it was a stack of old faded paper covered with what looked like names. They were scratched out, and illegible notes were written beside them in faded blue ink. I could only make out a few letters. Oh yeah, those are all names that I can't read. None of it made any sense to me. Well, yeah, that's pretty obvious. There looked to be bones half dug into the ground, and the remains looked old. The faded clothes that stuck up amongst the dirt looked familiar. They looked like the clothes that woman was wearing in the photo I found. Was this the man's wife? Ooh, I don't know. Some kind of homemade rack, slung together with poorly cut wood and rope. It was caked with old blood. Somebody didn't actually use that, did they? Okay. Rusted hooks like the kind you'd find in a butcher hung from the ceiling. They looked pitted and worn from heavy use. That man upstairs, did he do this? Okay. Crudely made shelves. They looked like they were holding cans of some kind of corrosive. The labels were worn and slick, but I could still see the warnings. It looked like a cage. It was small, but there was something coating the bottom, something wet. Gross. Some kind of old boxes. They looked like they were years old. Wait a minute. These boxes had old clothes in them. Clothes I remembered throwing out after Rachel and I moved to town. What the hell were they doing there? I don't know. I remember noticing a broken ladder. I had to be careful. There was a rope hanging in there. I wasn't sure how sturdy it was. Did I take it? Yep. Maybe the rope would make that broken ladder easier to descend. Is there anything else in here, though? No. The rope I found would have let me down the ladder safely. Did I climb down? Yep. I could hear a faint hum, and the smell from before started to get worse. A bunch of old newspapers, wheat pasted together. A message had been hastily smeared on it. Keep out. Danger due to cave-in. Okay. I could still feel a faint impression of the rope I had slid down as I pressed against the heavy metal door. It was probably for the best that I hadn't jumped. The ache in my leg was bad enough as it was. If I could have, though, I would have run straight out of those awful tunnels. Who would keep such a place? At least I thought I had found that old handgun. It seemed to work, and from the smell of it, it had been used already. I kept the gun in my pocket. It seemed a familiar weight there. An exposed ventilation shaft. Maybe someone crawled through there? But it's so high up. That must have been a sore landing. Okay. There was dirt on the ground. It looked wet, and there was grass smeared within it. Okay. Disgusting. It was a mess of filthy garbage bags. There were rips and tears in most of the bags. What looked like an old videotape was sticking out. Do I take it? Yup. I wasn't sure what I hoped to discover with the tape, but I took it anyway. Okay, well, where do we take it? I could hear a faint trickling sound like water. What was that? There was a rusty ladder sunk in the water, which smelled disgusting. I knew I couldn't climb down like that. Maybe I could find a way to drain the putrid water. Well, yeah. Okay. A kitchen knife covered in drying blood. Thinking about it made me sick. I didn't even want to touch it. Did I take the knife? I slipped the knife in my boot since I had the gun in my pocket. Did I really need all this? You're amnesic. How do you know you don't need it? Okay. Door was locked. There was a musty smell from inside. That was a loud locking noise. Okay. wasn't sure, but I thought it was some kind of regulator. I had no idea how it worked. Okay. So... I thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? Yep. Well, it sounded like it actually worked, so... Let's go out one. Go down to the next door. Thought I could turn this water valve to shut off its flow. Did I turn it? The valve was still active. Did I turn it again? That's good. I'm not going to say all that again. Okay. Okay, it looks like I got all the water turned off, right? Let's go see if we could go down that ladder then, I guess. I don't hear any water flowing. Looked like the water drained out that grate in the wall. There was a small metal key left floating in this shallow pool. Do I take it? I pocketed the small key, but it was so odd-shaped, I had no idea what it might open. Okay. The safety poster had definitely seen better days. How old was that facility? No idea. Door's locked. Okay. There was a security camera in the room. There must have been a way to see what had happened. Maybe the VHS tape I found could be useful. Okay, so... found another dead body, a sewer worker. By the wounds all over his face and body, I figured he'd been stabbed repeatedly. There was a key ring sticking out of the man's pocket. Did I take it? I thought about the knife I had found with some disgust as I carefully picked the keys from his pocket. I was almost worried he was going to grab me. Okay, where do we go from here? I used the key ring to unlock the door. Okay. The shelf full of security tapes was strictly organized, though covered in dust. Looked like the tape I found was one that was missing from the shelf. Okay. There was a dusty VCR on the security desk. I wondered what was on that VHS tape I found. Do I play the tape? Oh no, the video showed a man right there in the sewers being attacked. The tape looked fuzzy and stretched like somebody had tampered with it. It looked like there could have been two men. Okay. I tried a bunch of the keys on the key ring. I found one on the sewer worker, and one of them seemed to fit. Okay. A collection of stale liquor bottles covered the floor. The wall was littered with dozens of old faded papers. Whoever did this was obsessed with some local murders. According to some of the clippings, bodies had been found in ravines, in the forest, and in one case, dumped in the back of an abandoned truck. I couldn't be sure, but I thought some of these same articles had also been pasted up back in those tunnels. Okay. A faded receipt was half trampled on the floor. It was from the local train station, and it was for 2 tickets. I didn't know what to use could be, but did I keep the receipt? I neatly folded the soiled receipt and slipped it into my front pocket. Okay. I don't even want to know what that noise was. It's just safer to leave. Okay. This must have been the other end of that ventilation shaft. Whoever used it could have gotten past that flooded room with this. Okay. Would I need that gun or that knife before the end? Both weighed me down, and it aggravated my leg as I climbed that old ladder. The thought of that videotape still gave me chills. Who was it that didn't want to be seen? Was it the same person that hid all those clippings away in that locked room? Suddenly, the awful smell of that sewer gave way to a pine-scented blast of fresh air. Okay. Go a little bit further, and then I'm going to stop playing today. An old ladder leading up to an ancient water tower. The ladder needed to be extended so I could climb it. Okay. I popped the latch and brought it up. In a patch of smeared dirt and grass, there was a beat-up old wallet. I thought it was mine. Did I take it? I slid the filthy wallet into my back pocket. I almost called it a wallet. I noticed it didn't contain any kind of gun permit. In fact, it didn't contain any cards or ID of any kind. I thought I should recover my credit card and driver's license at least. Okay. From the railing, I could see over the woods and down to the entrance to the sewers. Had I come through there before? If I did, someone definitely could have seen me. Okay. I tried the little key I had fished out of that murky puddle in the sewers. It fit, and I heaved open the rusty door. Okay, the wind was picking up a bit. The night air had becoming strangely chilly. That doesn't make sense. I'm still going. Wait. No, this way. The old train station was quiet as a tomb. The only sound was that of an increasing wind buffeting the decrepit structure. an old ticket booth that looked fairly ruined. Inside the ticket window were sheets of paper, and wait, what were these? Train receipts? I thought the receipt I had picked up might match these, but of course not. The station had been closed for years. The ticket must have been for the newer station that opened up on the other side of town after this one was abandoned. However, I noticed a series of fresher-looking paper covered in tiny notes, scribbles, and diagrams. Okay. And I think I'm going to leave it at the train station, and that's where we'll start tomorrow. And then we'll probably finish this game up tomorrow and start a new series on Monday. That's my plan anyway. So if y'all want to check it out, I am Serious Graves. Tell all your friends about my channel. I really need to get some more viewers. It'd be nice. Anyhow, you all have a great day. Enjoy your summer, and I hope to see you soon on tomorrow's playthrough about the same time. Please like, subscribe, comment. Tell your friends to do the same. See y'all. Bye.